Hello and a very warm welcome to an India Today special broadcast from the Israel-Gaza Strip border. I'm Gaurav Sawant. This special broadcast comes to you from an Israel army location. Right behind me, you see the Markava main battle tanks of the Israeli army locked and loaded, raring to go. All they're waiting for is an instruction from the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to go and decimate Hamas at the Gaza Strip. Of course, a task easier said than done. This is day 11 of the Israel-Hamas war. And over the course of the next half hour, we get you details of operations from ground zero. India today is right at the front lines of this war on Hamas terror. And we get you latest reports.
Israel prepares for Gaza ground invasion. Israeli hostages tortured by Hamas. Biden's Israel visit, a tightrope walk. Gaza pushed to brink of collapse.
Israel's operations against the top Hamas leadership. It's to neutralize the leadership, financial bases and weapons manufacturing facilities.
India today at the front line of war. Ground report from the battle zone.
The Israeli army is ready to go in, but the Israeli army is still waiting for instructions. This is day 11 of Israel's war on Hamas terror. US President Joe Biden will be in Israel. The aim is to give diplomacy a chance. Hamas says it has about 200 plus Israeli citizens being held as hostage. Of course, there are also some American citizens who are being held hostage by the Hamas. But given that situation, what will the Israeli army actually go in? Well, the location where we are, they are ready and they're waiting for their instruction. Israel says going into Hamas territory is inevitable. Decimation of Hamas is their aim. But to do that, they still need to ensure that the hostages are brought back safe. Both are top priorities for Israel. Bringing their hostages back home safe and decimating Hamas. But at the same time, the challenge is to ensure that this doesn't develop into a wider Arab-Israel conflict. On day 11 of this conflict, let me bring you a ground report from Kibbutz Be'eri and Kafar Shar. Now, these were some of the localities right at the front lines that were targeted by Hamas terrorists.
The Israel-Palestine war has entered day 11. With every passing day, the ground assault on Gaza appears more imminent. Israeli Defense Force are mobilizing tanks and artillery near the Gaza border. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed a total annihilation of Hamas.
Our goal is victory, a crushing victory over Hamas, toppling its rule and removing its threat to the state of Israel once and for all. The conditions for victory, unity and determination. The people are united, the army is united, and the country's leadership is united. So is the national emergency government that we established, and it's good that it was established.
Support continues to pour in for Israel. Their closest ally, America, has vowed support to them, with the US President Biden all set to touch down in Tel Aviv on Wednesday.
The President will hear from Israel what it needs to defend its people as we continue to work with Congress to meet those needs. President Biden will underscore our crystal clear message to any actor, state or non-state, trying to take advantage of this crisis to attack Israel. Don't. To that end, he's deployed 2 aircraft carrier groups and other military assets to the region.
Israel is leaving nothing to chance, beefing up their manpower to wipe out Hamas in Gaza.
Israel's operations against the top Hamas leadership. It's to neutralize the leadership, financial bases and weapons manufacturing facilities. Intelligence-based operations continue to be mounted, and the drones, you can hear the drones, you can hear the artillery going off almost every couple of minutes. The drones
keep a sight on where the rocket launch sites are and neutralize them the moment they spot a rocket being launched.
Israeli citizens are united in the war against Hamas. It's not just the soldiers, but every ordinary Israeli who is doing their bit to help in this fight against terror.
These are either reservists or even civilians here in Israel who come to the front lines. They've come to the front lines. They are giving food, water, Coca-Cola, clothes for women soldiers, sanitary pads, tissue papers, other clothes that they may require.
India?
I'm from India. So
take care of yourself.
Thank you.
From India. So thanks a lot for that.
Not at all. Not at all. So all these people in their big cars, in their Porsches, in their BMWs, in their Mercedes, in their Volkswagen, they've all come forward to be a part of Israel's effort to fight Hamas terror.
In a major victory for Israeli forces, a top Hamas official, Osama Mazzini, who allegedly plotted the attacks on Israel, has been neutralized. As the Gaza Strip is pounded by airstrikes, so is Israel. Hamas hasn't stopped its offensive, firing rockets directly at capital Tel Aviv.
And this is from my hotel window, and you can hear the air raid sirens and people running to take shelter. It's totally deserted. Look at the streets, everything. It's the center of Tel Aviv, and you can see not a single soul on the roads, nowhere. It's just 9 p.m. The streets used to be crowded, full of people at this time of the day. But right now, because of this air raid siren, look at this, everything is totally empty.
After Israeli ordered Gazans to move out to the south, Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammad Shatayeh warned against displacing the people in the Gaza Strip and creating a new catastrophe.
The
cabinet warns against the military measure aimed at displacing our people in the Gaza Strip. We affirm that our people will not abandon their land and will not migrate from it, no matter how big the sacrifices are. Our people are capable of confronting and thwarting such schemes, just as they have thwarted numerous liquidation and settlement projects throughout the past decades of struggle.
This is going to be a long-drawn conflict, and Israel this time has vowed they won't stop till every Hamas terrorist and backer is eliminated. With Gaurav Sawant and Rajesh Pawar in Israel, Bureau Report, India Today.
The road ahead for Israel is extremely tough. Hamas claims it is holding about 200 to 250 hostages in their territory, and as part of its psychological warfare, PSYOPs, Hamas also released some images of one 21-year-old Israeli-French woman, Mia, who was being held hostage and being treated. Israel says Hamas is a terrorist organization, and this psychological warfare will have absolutely no impact on Israel's war to decimate Hamas. At the same time, the safety of hostages is the responsibility of the Hamas, and that is why they want to absolutely ensure that they're able to get the hostages back. At the same time, decimate launch pads of those rockets and missiles, safe houses for storage of those rockets and missiles, and also the places where those rockets and missiles are manufactured, and Hamas leadership where they stay and operate from, including those many tunnels at the Gaza Strip. We bring you more in this report.
21-year-old French-Israeli by nationality. Mia Shem disappeared from the music festival where 260 people were killed when it came under Hamas attack on October 7th. Nine days later, the Palestinian militant group released her 60-second video. In the footage, an unidentified worker is seen treating Shem's injured arm. In another clip broadcast on Hamas's Telegram channel, Shem speaks directly to the camera in Hebrew. She says she's in Gaza. that she's being looked after. Her arm was operated on for 3 hours at a hospital and that she wants to go home. Her mother shared her anguish and issued a fervent appeal for her release.
I'm begging the world to bring my baby back home. This is a crime against humanity, and we should all gather and stop this terror and bring everybody back home.
In a separate communication, Hamas claimed to be holding 200 to 250 people as hostages in Gaza. In his televised statement, a Hamas spokesperson said the non-Israeli captive will be released when conditions are ripe. According to the militant group, at least 22 hostages have been killed in Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. With Hamas showing their capability in asymmetric warfare and avoiding digital trail in their communications, Israel is faced with what probably is the toughest hostage crisis. It has a mixed recording in dealing with such situations. Israel set up a secret force in 1957. The unit shot to fame in 1976 with its raid on Entebbe to rescue hostages from a hijacked plane at a Ugandan airport. In 2011 though, Israel made big concessions to win freedom of one Israeli soldier in Hamas custody. It freed more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners for the exchange. And that batch of freedom prisoners included the current Hamas leader in Gaza, Yahya Sinwar, one of the masterminds of the October 7th carnage. In the present situation, Israel has been quick to set up a hostage situation room to collate everything about people in Hamas's captivity.
Israel says the responsibility of keeping those hostages safe and out of harm's way is Hamas leadership's responsibility. They're also saying information that 20 to 22 hostages were killed in an Israeli airstrike again is psychological warfare by Hamas, because Hamas leadership had said that they would execute one hostage a day on live TV in case Israel continued to carry out airstrike. Gaurav Sawant in Sderot near the Gaza Strip in southern Israel for India Today.
All eyes right now on diplomacy. So you have US President Joe Biden who's arriving in Israel. He is of the opinion that Hamas has to be punished. At the same time, he's of the opinion that Israel must not occupy the Gaza Strip because this could lead to a wider Arab-Israel conflict. There's also this apprehension with Iran warning of a massive blowback. Iran is warning of Islamic resistance if Israel were to occupy the Gaza Strip. The Hezbollah has already activated the second front or the northern borders. At the same time, the United States has its gunboat diplomacy in place with USS Eisenhower and USS Gerald Ford, the largest aircraft carrier strike groups in the Mediterranean Sea. The aim is very clear in this war against Hamas terror, Israel's war on Hamas terror. Lebanon, Iran, and other countries should not get involved or there will be consequences. We bring you more on diplomacy before the conflict.
The most powerful man in the world lands in Israel on Wednesday. President Joe Biden arrives in Tel Aviv at a time when Israel's tank regiments are massed along the Gaza frontier, primed and ready to roll in. When he lands, nearly 2 weeks in a historic escalation between the Hamas and Israel, he brings with him a handful of deep anxieties. Biden was unequivocal about his solidarity with Israel from the start.
The bloody hands of the terrorist organization Hamas, a group whose stated purpose for being is to kill Jews, This was an act of sheer evil. More than 1,000 civilians slaughtered, not just killed, slaughtered in Israel. Among them, at least 14 American citizens killed.
Biden's visit to Israel will be an incredibly delicate tightrope walk. As the President of the United States, he must come across as nothing but unambiguously supportive of Israel, empathetic to its anger, and understanding of the steps it is now taking.
It matters that Americans see what's happening. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I never really thought that I would see and have confirmed pictures of terrorists beheading children. I never thought I'd ever... Anyway.
At the same time, with the looming election in the United States, the Israel-Gaza conflict widening into more parts of the Middle East will mean the United States has no choice but to get embroiled.
The most powerful nation in the history, not in the world, in the history of the world. The history of the world. We can take care of both of these and still maintain our overall international defense.
Make no mistake, Biden's response to the Israel-Hamas crisis was the most visible from the get-go. It was on day one itself that he ordered America's largest warship, the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier, battle group into waters off the coast of Israel as a show of support, solidarity, and to beef up intelligence assistance to the Israeli military.
Biden's visit to Israel would have strategic importance for entire Middle East.
The world already has one big war on its hands in Ukraine. A second could plunge the world into a crisis that goes beyond just economic. Much of what happens next could be in the hands of the most powerful man in the world. Bureau Report, India Today.
The images behind me tell the story. Soldiers locked and loaded, ready to go. Retribution is their aim. Decimation of Hamas is their aim. But they're equally clear they're doing this with a purpose. And the purpose is to ensure Hamas terrorists can never target Israel or harm Israeli citizens ever again. But is this the lull before the storm? Israel says their aim remains to decimate Hamas. And we will continue to report from ground zero. That is all I have for you on this special broadcast that comes to you from the Israel-Gaza Strip border. Many thanks for watching. News and updates continue on India Today. Stay with us.